All right, KISS Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a KISS-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to episode 151 of the KissFAQ podcast. I'm Ken Keenan and I'll be your host today. Joining me today, I have Mark, who is
Marcus Almighty.
Marcus Almighty on the board, yes. And then Daniel, all the way from Sweden.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel. Louise on the board. We're hoping we'll have Julian joining us, if he can. I hope he's going to join. He said he might join. So we're going to get into it. So this week, before we get into anything, and actually the big news this week, of course, is KISS Kruise has been going on. And I think it's wrapping up now, and we've heard details. So we're gonna talk a bunch about that. But before that, not much other news other than we know a couple of books have been out. The one behind me, which is the
1977 to 1980.
Yeah.
Lynn Goldsmith
photo book. And that's a pretty good book. Though I would have liked a little bit more variety on that one for pictures. It's a lot of same pictures from the same sessions, I would say. And Ace and Peter kind of got left out a little bit, I think. I don't know if she took less pictures of them or what, but
I think the Swedish book is more interesting.
And as you mentioned that, I just got that one in the mail. I'm enjoying this one right now. I'm starting to read it. I'm enjoying it more because I think it has a more variety of pages. Plus, it has a lot of text stories, little stories that were going on at the time of when the pictures were taken.
I think one thing about that book that is missing in most KISS book is that they focus a lot on the unmasked, the period without makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Have a lot of great photos from that era, and that is not many books do that. So I think that's a good thing with that book.
It's unique, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't add much to it because I'm still awaiting my copy. It's in transit, coming to me. But I'm looking very forward to getting my copy as well because I sort of agreed the Lynn Goldsmith book is very nicely done. It's like top quality. Everything about it is like top notch. Even the paper itself and the pages that they feel so thick. It's almost like 2 pages in one.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's nicely done. But because she limited herself to such a specific period of time, she could only do so much, I suppose. But they are definitely pictures that I've never seen before, so I really enjoyed the book.
Yeah, the quality of the pictures are great. I mean, it's worth it. You're a big KISS fan. It's worth it to get it. Have it in your collection, among other many books that are out there and more to come, I think.
Yeah.
So okay, well, before we get into our main topic, which I think is going to be about the KISS Kruise, we're going to talk about that. We're going to show or kind of go through, show some albums, like 5 albums or cassettes or CDs that kind of, you enjoy one way or another, or if you have a story behind them, or just, something unique about it. Just to, show off something different here. And I'll go ahead and let Mark go first with his 5 albums, KISS albums.
Okay, so I'll do them in order to why I
okay.
Them. Okay, so my first one that I'm going to show really quickly this is my copy of the first KISS record.
Yeah.
Beat up one.
It's Beaten to Hell. Now, the reason why I picked this one is because this is probably one of the very first KISS records I ever bought when I started collecting vinyl again. Now, if you take a look here at the back, the very bottom here, I don't know if you can even make that out, but it's a Warner Brothers version of it. This is before they got dropped, right? So as soon as I started going onto all these KISS sites and people started asking me about my vinyl. When I showed this one and somebody noticed that it was a Warner Brothers distributed one, all of a sudden started getting all these beep, beep, beep messages on my phone saying, hey, are you interested in maybe selling that record? Because I didn't realize at the time that it was quite wanted because it's a Warner Brothers version of it.
It says Warner on the label too, right?
Yeah, I'll pull it out right here. You can
I
see
think I
real
have
quick.
one of those, I think. I'm sure.
Yeah, if you take a look here.
Is that pressed in
should say it.
Canada? Or where was that pressed?
This is the U.S.
It's US.
I think it's a U.S.
Probably. Okay, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's... No, it's a Canadian. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, it's
Manufactured,
Canadian, okay.
distributed by Warner Music of Canada. So it's
And that might be
Canadian.
even more rare, actually, than in the U.S. It's very possible. So
Maybe. Now, the reason also why I'm showing these ones, believe it or not, is because besides the fact that there might be something unique about them, they are also my go-to versions of them that I listen to.
okay,
Because I might have like 8 different variations of each record, but that's the one that I listen to the most because it sounds really good.
sound.
Considering how old it is and how beaten to shit the cover is, you'd be surprised how good that vinyl sounds.
Yeah.
It's really punchy. It has a really nice bottom end to it. Compared to some of the other ones I have, like I have some other pressings of it, like some RCA Record Club ones, and those are kind of like, they sound a little shaky in spots, but this one sounds really fantastic. Now, the next one that I have, and I've mentioned this one once before, but this again is my go-to version of this record. Let's get this out here real quick. This is Alive. Now, what's so different about this one? Well, this one is a Venezuelan release version of it.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about this as well that's sort of interesting when I first got it and why I thanked Julian so much, because he's the one who sold it to me when he was selling off all his versions of it. Here you see this.
It's a camel.
Is that this one is a version of it that's mastered by both Robert Ludwig
Yes.
and Jesus, what's his name now again? Alan Zentz. That's it.
Oh, AZ. Yeah.
So and I've never really saw that before, where there's like one side done with Alan Zentz and the 3 other sides done with Robert Ludwig, and they are definitely different. You can tell Robert Ludwig has a lot more low end to his mastering, and the drums really stand out more, whereas Alan Zentz, his guitars he has much more mid-range in his mastering, and the guitars are like, whoa, like whenever Ace is doing a solo, it's really popping out of the speakers. So this is my
Interesting. Yeah.
this is my
That's
go-to version of that.
Right.
Now the next one I will show
Picking all my albums.
Looks like
is
Japanese.
a Japanese pressing of Rock and Roll Over. Now, this is my favorite Kiss record.
Right.
This is my favorite pressing of it to listen to, is because obviously, as we all know, Japanese records are usually, at 9 times out of 10, sonically superior. They're quieter.
Yeah.
The clarity's better on it, right?
Why is that? Why is that?
Why is that? Because I was doing some research into that.
Yeah.
The factory conditions in Japan when they make the records are 10 times cleaner than the U.S. factories. Like, you can go there with a white glove and there's no dust in the air. They really take care of their machinery. They also take care that their virgin material that they use is also as clean as it can be, because that's hard to do. My father was in plastics for a long, long time, and he used to carry me around to these places. And I went to a few pressing plants, and I'm telling you, you could walk out of there and go like this, and you'd have like black on your hands.
Yeah.
There's so much shit flying around in the air.
Yeah.
But over there, they're really clean. And they make sure that their virgin material is really clean too, because a lot of the times what they do is when they press a record and they cut the outside, that trim around it, they'll take it and put it into a bin and then regrind it and use it again. The Japanese presses hardly ever do that. They only use virgin stuff, which is also why the material is so good, because it's cleaner material It's not beaten to hell. It hasn't fallen on the floor 10 times and then put into a bin. You know, there's, you know, I hate to say that to make it sound like the Japanese are almighty with pressing, but they just take more care to it than it seems that the American or Canadian counterparts do on that end of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like, you know, they're even the cardboard is heavier on the outside. You know, the covers.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
And I've go ahead.
I can imagine in their factories that they may have had like air filters too, sucking the bad dust out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, they probably wore like I can imagine they wore like white and maybe even masks, you know, to just keep it very clean. You know.
If you watch the videos for that, whenever you go do a YouTube check on like a Japanese factory, you'll see that all the time. They're in white, and they purposefully
I've never
do that.
seen it. Yeah, I just you know thought that's what they probably did. Yeah.
They do it because
I also think the hierarchy in the factories can be quite different from America or Canada. You know, if you don't do your job, you're out of there.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like
True,
that whole
true.
mentality with education. When somebody there, like a student says, I got 97% out of 100 on my grades, they're like, great shame is brought to our family because it wasn't 99. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, look at the way
wouldn't
their
have made it in
technology is
Japan.
because
But
of
look
it.
at the way they have a name for people killing themselves on the job. There's actually a name for that because it's so common.
Really? Wow.
And that's the flip side. What do you say? The downside
Yeah.
to that.
Harry Carey or something? I don't know.
Okay, so we'll move on. So
Okay,
with
yeah, we'll go.
now this one might be a surprise to some people, but
I got some Super Mario sounds there.
Really?
Or
So
sounds
this-
like Super Mario.
Oh, Gene Simmons. There you go. So
Now-
Nice. Version.
now this one here is the 2015, I believe it is, or the 14. I don't remember now. 2000. Oh, my eyes are shit. 2014 reissue.
yeah,
Those ones that came out. Now the funny thing is,
it's a remaster. Yeah.
I hadn't really given this record too much of a chance, and I have a bunch of other versions of that, an original U.S. one, a Canadian, Japanese one, this and that. But one day I picked this one up, put it on, and I'm serious. I was literally shocked at how good they did the remaster of this one. The low end, the bass guitar and the drums on this is fantastic. I mean, even though Gene doesn't play bass on this, but the bass guitar sound on this is unbelievable. The whole production of the panning and everything and all the kind of different things, like wherever there's like an orchestra bit, like a Man of a Thousand Faces or stuff like that,
Yeah.
they have some really, it sounds really good. It really stands out a lot more than some of the original versions of this record.
Still a shitty record.
I like
but,
I've always liked the record
but it
I know
sounds,
since the beginning.
I never liked.
but it sounds decent.
That's cool.
And now the last one that I picked is Creatures of the Night.
Mhm.
Now we all know
Great
Creatures
album.
of the Night in general is a fantastic record.
Yeah.
Sounds great as well. Now if you notice, that is a
The
modified alternate logo
alternate
version.
logo. Yeah.
Now this is a West German pressing of it. I don't know if you can really make that out there, but
Yeah.
so it'll say West Germany on there.
Valuable.
But again, much like the Japanese, I've always thought that the German pressings, back from even the Bellafon days when they did them, when they were pressing them, they sounded really good. Their vinyl, even back in the 70s, was much thicker than the U.S. and the Canadian counterparts, and they had a lot better mid-range, I found, in the German pressings than they had even in the Canadian ones in the U.S. There's something about, the Germans, again, they always had that running joke in The Simpsons that, working for Germans, you got to be careful because they have a strong work ethic and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So, and I'm guessing that'll go across in their pressings as well, that they probably, much like the Japanese, if you don't do your job well in Germany, you're out on your keister, right? So that's why I love those ones. I've always tried to collect now, and I'm almost got a complete Belaphon set of all the KISS ones that were available, so I'm really into those ones. So those are my 5, mainly for sonic reasons, but for those other reasons that I mentioned as well.
Right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, those are cool albums. I mean, all of them are cool anyway, but all variations are very cool. All right. Hey, Daniel, do you want to go next? You ready?
I can try. I
right.
just have to. First of all, I have to say I'm not that a big vinyl guy.
Yeah.
Vinyl went out when I started to get into music. So, but I still managed to pick up a few. Mm-hmm. And the first one, I remember hearing a song that I really liked, and I tried to tell my mother, I like this song. It's called "Creatures of the Night," and then trying to spell it in Swedish. I didn't know English, so I don't know if you see this one, but this was when I heard "Heavens on Fire," and you tell your mother, well, I like this song. It sounds like "Feel My Heat," and that's the way I would. And it's the same thing with "Creatures of the Night." I heard this song, "Creatures of the Night." I had no idea what it meant, but I knew I liked it. And she put in the effort and went to the record store, and I got this one, And this is the actual copy. I guess it's from, I bought it back in the 80s sometimes, 85, 86. Still mint condition. I took really good care of it, and I think it was just such a nice package as well. I saw it in a magazine later, and it's the back, the front, it's all perfect, and even the titles, tie into the way it looks. So I think this is one of the best ones to this day. That's my number 5. Number 4, you know what? My first albums were Asylum, Animalize, and that one, The Creatures of the Night. So that was the way I thought KISS sounded, And then I started to go back, and I was in my early teens, or even earlier than that, I think. And I went to the bins, the flea market. And I found a mint condition album that looked like this, and I thought, oh my, this one has to be something. And I remember actually listening to it the first time. It was kind of a shock, It sounds so different from Asylum, Animalized Creatures.
It's different,
So I needed to listen to it a few times. But back in the day, you did that,
Yeah.
You gave it a few spins before the verdict was out,
Yeah.
And I remember the first song I really liked was Firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Firehouse, but since then it's not one of my favorites. I've come to enjoy a lot of others, but I remember I liked that one really a lot. But the album as a whole, it's probably the best album to give to a non-KISS fan, to me at least. This is the one to give them, and even though the inside, when you open it up, is it called
the
something?
gatefold?
The
gatefold. Yeah, the gatefold is a lot better when you look at Alive 2. I think this record is a lot better than Alive 2 to me, at least. So this was it's a good one. And then I started to get really into KISS, and I'm to the flea markets, because that was where you could find a lot of crazy KISS albums. And I came across a strange album, and this was back in '88, I think. I was, in my early teens. And then I saw a picture, and I was like, oh my God, can they show pictures like that? This isn't really a studio album or anything, but it looked like this.
Oh, yeah. The photo.
So I just bought it because it was,
That's an interview disc, I think I might even have that one.
Yeah.
I used to.
There's really nothing on the album worth mentioning, but it's kind of looks cool. And when you're a kid, these kinds of pictures wasn't easy to come by. So this really. And when you had it in the album, what's this called? The album
jacket.
Yeah. You always had this side out if your parents would find. And then when
that's right.
There was someplace turn it this way.
Otherwise, you might not see the record again.
And then, actually, one of my favorite sounding albums from KISS as another one I picked up. You know, all the other guys, my friends, they went on the roller coasters and everything. When you know, we had those days. What's it called? When
Park?
Yeah,
Carnival?
a few times a year, people came.
Holidays?
Yeah, you know, the holidays, and they had
Festival.
roller coaster and everything. People blew their money on that, and I didn't go on any of those. I went to the record bins, and I flipped through. And then I found this one.
Mm-hmm.
My friend bought The Elder. He drew the shortest straw. I bought this one.
Sure.
He was really disappointed, and I really liked this one. So this is, to this day,
That's
along with
Press
Rock and Roll Over, of course, this is my favorite makeup album, I would say.
It's a really good
but
record.
So it's so fun.
Yeah.
I like, to this day, I like the way it sounds. It's
very clean.
You know, it's
sound,
very clean. And after this one, I've bought a few CDs, and the remastered version I like quite a bit. So I listened to that one. But this is one of my favorites. How many do I have? It's the final one now, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
I picked this one, even though I guess I haven't listened to it in about maybe 15 years.
Oh.
But I remember getting it. It was back in '92. My hysteria was at its height. Revenge had just been released, and I started looking around for records that I didn't have. At this point, I had all the studio albums. Then I found this strange thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Francis Last Licks. Yep.
Unfortunately, Paul hasn't signed it. But I bought this one of another KISS fanatic.
That's cool.
And it's liked the way it looked. It was cool that they put in the effort. You know, back in the 90s, they didn't do a lot other than releasing studio albums. So this was kind of a treat for fans.
It was a promo.
And it was a promo. I don't know how many they released, but it was kind of cool. They had a few stories on the back, and I liked it a lot. So I remember getting this and thinking, wow, Gene Simmons has actually put his pen over there and, you know, buckled the man. So that was kind of, that's my find.
That's cool. Yeah, I have that one. I forget how many copies they made of that one.
It's a pretty collectible piece, actually.
They didn't make a whole lot of those, supposedly, but I keep seeing them turn up.
You got some
so
good
I kinda
ones there,
wondered
Daniel.
about it. Yeah, they're real good. That's cool. And cool stories too to go with it. I'll go through mine pretty quick here. I just picked I like so many different ones that it's just like too hard to pick, so I just grabbed some. So the first one I'm picking here is a Destroyer.
Oh, nice.
The Japanese 200 gram release that they did. I can't remember the year. I don't know if it was early 2000s.
That's quite the one that people want to
it's just
get a hold of.
Hard to find now, and if you do find it, it's pretty expensive.
Pricey.
Yeah. So I think I played it once.
Too bad it's Destroyer.
But it's the only 200 gram KISS record that's an official release. I know that. We know we have the one.
They could have picked a better record to do the 200 grams with.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Decent enough.
So that's one. Here's another one, and I don't know if this is truly official release or not, but I liked it because of the looks of it. So it's a picture disc. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
This one. Yeah, this one is.
It's the Hotter Than Hell.
Hotter
right?
Than Hell. Yeah. I guess it's in Spanish, Mas Caliente, Inferno, or whatever. But yeah, it's cool. I don't know if it's official. I mean, it says something about phonogram on the back. Here's the back of it, which is kind of cool. So
Very
yeah,
nice.
it's actually. I mean, it's. Solo album kind of art, but then you got the inner Rock and Roll Over art from here, but then you got Hotter Than Hell music. It's
a good combination.
It's kind of all over the place, but it's kind of cool. I like it. Official or not, I like it. because the look, I might frame it, I'm thinking. That was my thoughts on that one, at least. And then I got, let's see, we'll go to another picture disc here real quick. This one is another one. This is one of my favorite albums. I wouldn't say it's the copy I listen to. But here's another one. Here's another picture.
Oh, nice.
So this is an official one.
Looks good.
Yeah, I think it's a Norwegian.
Oh my!
Or is it? Or is it Dutch? I don't know. Anyway, it's Sturma, and it's numbered on the back 1362 number on that. But yeah, so this one's a kind of a hard one to find, or if you do find it, it's not. It's
Be prepared to give up your kidney for it.
Yeah, it's not cheap to find it. I just, I
did you
spent too much for it.
Sorry?
How much did you pay?
Too much. I spent too much. Yeah, I should have, waited. Tried to wait for something better, but that's that. Anyway, next one here is a Fraley's Comet. But this is the new one, the new release.
Okay.
And which is nicely reproduced, though they didn't remaster it, but get the vinyl out. It's in there. But here's the one on the kind of the blue.
Oh, that blue vinyl?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're releasing another one. Did you see Anomaly, right?
Yeah.
They're releasing.
Well, I got the picture disc of that, but they're doing a proper vinyl though, right?
Yeah, they're doing the proper vinyl, and I've ordered that one. I don't have the picture disc one.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, so
pretty good.
But yeah, cool. So that's another one. I thought, I like colored discs and and pictures.
I know.
You know that stuff. Okay, so next one is. And the next two are the same, basically. But this was the KISS first album, right? Manufactured and distributed by Warner Brothers, right? This one has the hype sticker. This is the one. It's kind of hard to find. It has where it says it has Kissin' Time on it. It says Kissin' Time. But the thing is, Kissin' Time is not on the
vinyl
on here.
Thank God.
No, this one is. I wrote it down. This one has hype sticker indicating Kissin' Time, but song not listed on the back, right here. But Kissin' Time is on the vinyl and the label. So it's on the actual. Yeah, it's on here. It's a 9001. NB9001. So that's kind of a harder one to find. I like it. It has a hype sticker on it. Not many of those were out there, I don't think. And then the last but not least, we'll get through this here, is probably my favorite, not favorite album, but it's one of my favorite albums, but my favorite one to maybe listen to, because the sound is so great on it. This is the first KISS album, promo album, white label promo. The sound on it, it's just so good. I mean, it's better than the one that it had later on when they had Kissin' Time on. But yeah.
For an ignorant guy like me, when it comes to vinyl, can you describe the difference in sound? Because I never quite got it.
The sound is, I want to say it's more out there. It's clean. You can hear better separation of the instruments. It's cleaner and clear.
Can I jump in with that?
I guess you guys jump in. I can't explain it. Maybe you can.
This is what I've always heard about white label pressings in general. Okay, the stamper, right?
Oh yeah.
Daniel, when you have the stamper, when they first make it, it's very newly made, and all the edges are really sharp and nice, and it presses in really nicely. The white label promos were supposed to come off the line first, they were supposed to be one of the first pressings off it. So if you think about it, the more you press something, after a while,
Starts to wear
grooves, all
down,
those
kinda.
things start to wear down and get not as sharp and stuff. So the clarity and the grooves of the forms on the record don't get as clearly imprinted onto the record. Therefore, that sound that you get, like what he said, like the volume will be even more louder. The separation of the instruments seem more present. Like you can hear the
sounds.
bass guitar much better than you could 1,000 pressings later off that stamper, right? It all has to do with the fact that those are pressed early. You have the best indentation of all the information onto the record itself, and you're getting like the best possible sound off the record. It's like they say when you play an audio cassette, the first time you play an audio cassette will be the best time you'll ever hear it, because the more you play it, the more you start stretching it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a similar thing like that.
What do you mean? The white pressings, is that like early pressings? Is that
Yeah,
the
it's
same thing?
usually
Yeah, okay.
like they're usually like one of the very first ones made off of the line. Like when they start
Okay.
making it, they'll press the first 50. It will be white label promos that they'll give to the record label, so that the record
So they
label
play
can
them
give
on
it
the
to
radio.
and stuff like that. Because they always
Yeah.
want to give
The best
those
sounding
ones
stuff.
to
Yeah.
the radio, because you want the best sounding stuff for radio to promote it, right?
Try to sell it. Yeah.
But we do everything for the fans. Should sell it to the fans is everything.
So that's 5 there. You know, there's plenty of more. I'm sure we all have that we could talk about, but it's just interesting to see each other's albums and music and why we like them. So okay, well, let's get into more or less the topic of the week, I guess, which is KISS Kruise 7. And there's been videos and so on out there about some of the rare stuff that has happened or gone on, and maybe we can talk about first. We'll talk about one of the performances out there, which was Bruce Kulick and Bob Kulick. Their show there, which may go down as one of the greatest, KISS Kruise performances, really.
Surely.
And I would have loved to have been there to see that one. The rest of Cruise, I don't know. We'll talk about it, but that one was very cool. And I don't know, have you guys seen any of the videos for that yet?
Oh yeah.
Of some of the songs. So
Yeah.
Okay, well I'll go down some of the songs that they played or their set list. So their set list, and they seemed in good spirits and all there, and their band and the lead singer, I can't remember the lead singer's name or the drummer's name.
I know one of the guys is it Brent Fritz or something like
Yeah,
that?
the drummer from Union. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So very good, very solid performance. Like it's almost like they've been playing, a while together, right? So what they had, their set list, they started off with All American Man. It's like, who would have expected that? But you think about it, Bob played lead guitar on a lot of those side 4 live 2 stuff. So I saw the video of that one, and I thought it was just awesome hearing that live. Never thought it would happen. Even though it's not truly KISS, it still was great. What do you think?
I think it sounded great. I've seen it previously done by Bob Kulick in other places, But I think just the format, bringing the two Kulick brothers together. I've never seen them. Have they ever played live in this kind of setting before? Before a huge crowd? I don't think so.
I think,
but
didn't
Convention
Sorry, go
maybe
ahead.
or something, but I don't know.
I don't
I think-
remember.
So I
Maybe
think
they
I heard. I think that they did didn't they do a convention once where they might have jumped on together, those two?
But that's not.
Yeah, I know it's not the same audience
it's not the
size.
same. You have all the. I think the performance was great. They brought in Brent Fitz is like a solid drummer, and the guy singing did a good job as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just seeing the brothers together, and I think they picked the perfect set list. They didn't do like Ace. Ace plays Love Gun and and that kind of stuff. He didn't really have a lot to do with those songs. The soul, of course, but other than that, nothing. So I think they picked the whole set list is like very interesting, and they brought on songs that they had something to do with. I think that's an important part of this. Yeah. So, All American Man as a starter, it was awesome, and you could see the reaction in the crowd.
Oh yeah.
From those clips. So the one thing I'm thinking is, can they do more of this somehow? Can they bring this on some sort of tour? I think it's
right. It's
really interesting.
Yeah, I have to agree though, because I mean, I watched the whole show. There's a couple of songs I didn't get to see. I didn't get to see Domino, unfortunately, yet, but it was really well done, and I mean, the performances of it were really top notch, I thought, and surprising for how little time they had to prepare for it. It sounded absolutely fantastic, and I agree with Daniel. I think that they should consider keeping this lineup together and maybe doing a tour of it, because I think after people saw this on YouTube, the consensus was in. Everybody thought that this was the best live performance of the whole cruise. So, and with that said, you can be sure that there will be KISS fans out there who would want to see it in a club somewhere across America or Europe or anywhere.
Sweden?
Yeah, or Japan or anywhere, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they, I always wanted, those brothers, Bob and Bruce to get together and record an album. That would have been great if they could record an album together and then go on tour with the band, and then they can do some of the stuff from the album, then also do some of these, KISS songs, rare KISS songs that they've been involved with over the years, right? So I think that would have been awesome. So go ahead.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of strange that they didn't do anything together.
I think they wanted to.
Yeah, but Bruce, he got great. What's the name of that? Grand Funk
Railroad.
Yeah, typical American band does nothing over here. But we're an American band. Yeah, that one. And Bob really is more like of a producer these days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always thought, why don't they? I almost thought they were, didn't like each other for a time there, but this is the way they are supposed to do it. They all have a KISS story, and they have different KISS stories. It's so interesting. Bob Kulick played on a lot of rare, deep KISS cuts that are rarely performed live. So every KISS fan will chew them up, seeing them live. They will love everyone, KISS Alive Side 4, KISS Killers, those kind of tracks. Oh my, KISS fans love to hear those. And Bruce, they never gave, the KISS non-makeup years a fair shake, They don't do them justice. They haven't done that for a long time. So there's a demand for those kind of songs. They could play anything from Asylum and Animalize, Crazy Nights, and people will go insane. So it's just a perfect opportunity for a tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right, because whenever they do these songs, like when they did them on the cruise, they're all these 80s era KISS songs. People loved it. They were just like out of their minds when they played stuff, like Turn On the Night and stuff like that, because they know that they're not going to hear it from KISS. Because I think Hide Your Heart was probably the one thing that they've played that's probably from the 80s, more recently, that people were surprised that they played, right? But I mean, doesn't that give them an indication there? Like, I mean, come on, look at the reaction you got from Hide Your Heart. Maybe you could pull out another song. But again, we have to keep in mind too that Paul isn't exactly in any shape to sing some of these 80s songs. I mean, this guy who was sung with Bruce and them, he did a great job. He sang them really, really well. I thought that was fantastic. And it was nice to hear it sung in that way. You know what I mean? You didn't have to worry about anything like that. Right.
Yeah,
and it was kind of cool. He really knew the songs. He did all the oh yes and the right places.
Yeah, especially when they did like Who Wants to Be Lonely, he even did those little yes in between all those verses. He did them perfectly. I was like, wow, like that's really attention to detail.
Fan.
Yes.
It's a fan, right
It's
there.
a fan.
Yeah.
Definitely. So.
Well, then let me ask you this though, really quickly. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your
Go ahead.
way of doing it here, but if now that we've all kind of looked at the set list, before we go on to them, just really quickly, I'm curious from each of you, what do you think is the best song they did that night from that set list?
Well, let me read their list. So this.
Okay.
We got All American Man. We talked about. Yeah, we got Hide Your Heart, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me, Domino, Larger Than Life, Tears Are Falling, Nowhere to Run, Tough Love, Tonight You Belong to Me, Who Wants to Be Lonely, Crazy Nights, Turn on the Night, and Goodbye. So, yeah, picking a song is good. I haven't seen them all, but I really, oh man, I really enjoyed Turn on the Night because
you stole my one.
well, it's all right. You can have the same one, but I really enjoyed that one. I want to say I really enjoyed Larger Than Life also, because I would have always loved to have seen Gene play that one. But yeah, Turn on the Night was a very good one. So I thought that was very cool sounding. It sounded really good. Daniel, what do you think about that? Same one.
Yeah, I really like Turn on the Night. And the way they ended it with, the solos, Bob soloing and then Bruce, and then they took turns. It was great. It sounded so great. And you never heard that live with KISS, and you would never will. But it works much better live than on the record, in my mind. I always knew the potential. You heard on the record that this song can sound great, but Ron Nevison screwed up all that. But you saw the potential, and now I heard it for the first time. It sounded great. I see that Nowhere to Run is up now on YouTube. I have to listen to that one after this show, because that's a song that I think is maybe one of my favorite from the post original era.
Okay.
Nowhere to Run. I think it's a great song. Paul has tried it a few times, and he seems to like it, but he understands that it's hard to do. So I have to check that one after this show. I see it's up now. Bob and Bruce doing Nowhere to Run. So, but the ones I've heard, I'd say that Turn on the Night was just magic. I think it was great. I would like to hear that over and over again in that setting with that band. I really hope they do something with this, because hopefully Bruce isn't doing a long tour with the Grand Funk Railroad. What's the name of that band?
Yes, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. And maybe they can get some time. A club tour. They will easily move 1,000 tickets, don't you think?
Oh, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. So it's a great cash grab, and they can actually vary the set list a lot. That you have a lot of great Bruce and Bob. They can learn songs easily, and they are not the way Gene and Paul is. We have to play the same exact set because the bombs go all off over there, and we can't change a lot. Playing a club tour, I think Bruce could pull out a lot of cool tunes.
Yeah.
You have a lot of tunes from Asylum you can play. Secretly Cruel, Love's a Deadly Weapon, All Night. There's loads that KISS fans would eat up. They would love it.
Yes.
I would.
Honestly, I think that all those songs you mentioned are fantastic. Like you said, I also haven't been able to see all of it, but I've gotten to see quite a few of the songs off of it. I was surprised. The surprise song for me was Tough Love. I never thought they would have pulled that song off of Revenge to do. But it was interesting to hear it because, like Daniel said, these songs are songs we would never even hear with KISS, right? So it's good to hear them in this, framework, right? But the song for me that really, surprised me in a great way that I thought was fantastic, and I rewatched it 2 or 3 times in a row, was Who Wants to Be Lonely. I mean, I love the song as it is anyways, but to hear them do it, and like how Daniel pointed out earlier, how specific he was with even all the little ad-libs in between, I was very impressed with it, and I thought that they just played it really well. And you can tell that the audience was really into that song as well. They sang along with the chorus all the time in that. So I think that, to me, was the sort of standout song of that set list.
Yeah, that was a good song. That was another top one. I saw that one too, and I thought, wow. And it did it really well. I mean, I was surprisingly well. So, and it sounded great. So I think their whole set was pretty darn good. I mean, everything I've seen on it was top notch. So, like Daniel said, it would be nice if they would, tour, do some kind of club tour. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Bruce pulling stuff from Revenge as well. That was the only song from Revenge, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, and Domino.
He could play Revenge as a whole album, and then but the Revenge album, and then add a few Asylum songs after that, and I would be in heaven,
There you go. Anything? Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
I was gonna say anything more on this subject on the Kulick set.
I think we tackled it pretty good.
But we have to, underline that this has great potential, and I really hope they do something more, because this was like a breath of fresh air in the KISS world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to get into, I mean, this was really cool, and I think they kind of upstaged KISS, if you ask me. Now, as for I don't know if anyone's seen the Sail Away set list, but the Sail Away set list.
I do, yeah. I have it here.
It wasn't too. I mean, was there anything?
Well, see, here's the thing: the Sail Away list, from what I understand, was one of the first big stickling points with most people from the cruise. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I started seeing comments coming in from the cruise, that was the first thing that people started saying. They were like, the Sail Away set was kind of like, there was nothing too out of this world on it, I don't think. Because, I mean, sure, they did a World Without Heroes, but they've done that before, right?
They've done that before.
And they got they have Hide Your Heart on there, but they've done that before.
A lot
they have
more recently.
They have Lover All I Can, but they've done that on KISS Cruises before when they did the whole Dress to Kill when they were in the outfits, right?
Yeah, that's the only one I think that really stood out for me was that song. Otherwise, you're talking like standard KISS kind of songs from their sets,
Yeah. I mean, do you agree that that's something that needs to be sort of majorly revamped? I think.
Well, I agree. I mean, on earlier cruises, they had done more rare songs on earlier cruises on the Sail Away. Even if they were just snippets, where they didn't get through a whole, they at least made an effort. It looks like Daniel's got the Elvis Blue album there.
That's a good album.
I had that.
I like that one.
Yeah. Anyways, a little off subject there. Way down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love that.
In the ghetto.
That's the next podcast, Elvis. Elvis FAQ podcast. Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of I looked at that Sail Away show. I thought, geez, they couldn't pull out some other rare stuff. It's kind of I don't know if it's what it is, if it's laziness or what, but I wasn't too enthused when I saw that set list.
Well, and a lot of the times people say, okay, well, they didn't do it because don't forget they have the 2 shows to do, the main shows, that they're going to put it in something rare in that. But I mean, you're talking about a band that has how many albums? They could have picked so many other songs. Yeah. It's not like they have a limited amount of material that they have to choose from.
Right.
They have so many records. After all, Gene keeps telling us the #1 band in the world, gold albums. We have the most gold albums. Right. Well, if you have that many gold albums and records, then I'm sure you can pick other songs, right?
Oh yeah.
Besides the standard ones that you always play.
Yeah, it's kind of a easy way out, not to do too much work. I guess that's all. That's how I look at it. But these fans paid a lot of money to go on this cruise.
Oh yeah.
And they're hoping that's what they want. These fans know every song in the KISS catalog and would love to hear these other songs that have never been played or haven't been played live since the beginning or whatever. And to me, it's kind of disappointing that they didn't really do anything on that Sail Away show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's lacking a lot is actually the void that the Bruce Kulick and Bob Kulick band filled,
Mm-hmm.
From 83 to 97, I'd say, because that was when Carnival of Souls was released. I'd like to see a Carnival of Souls song in the Bruce Kulick set list.
Oh,
yeah.
But that might come on the next tour. You never know. but I think they are manhandling, or what the word is. They aren't treating the non-makeup songs as they're supposed to be treated. They have a lot of great songs from that era, but they kind of stray away from them for some reason. And I understand that Paul has trouble playing those songs, singing those songs.
Oh yeah.
But you have a lot of great Gene tunes you could do, Particularly
sure.
all of the Gene songs from Asylum.
Trial by Fire or something.
Yeah. And every song from Revenge done by Gene. They can
Any
do
way you
stuff.
slice it.
There you go.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say that's
right.
the song I mentioned.
Okay. Well, before we get into maybe the KISS Electric shows, there's two shows, obviously, 1 and 2. I did see, and this kind of bothers me a little bit, is the KISS not KISS, but the Paul Stanley acoustic performance that he had and with his son. I don't know. I had a hard time with it. It's just Paul cannot sing those songs. I guess he's put in an acoustic performance to try so he doesn't have to try to belt it out and crack his voice or something. I don't know what it is, but that set just did not work. It didn't work for me, at least. I don't know if anyone, and I don't know if it's because I'm watching it on YouTube or whatever, but I think it's not YouTube. I think it's just he should have let maybe his son sing the songs, or something, and him sing background, because it's just you're so used to those songs, especially like the solo songs from the 78 solo album, and you expect him to sing a certain way. You're so used to hearing it a certain way, his voice, and then you hear where he's not. He's basically almost singing. He's not really, because they probably have his mic turned up, to pick his voice up more, so he doesn't have to try to belt it. He's not using any of his diaphragm or anything anymore. It doesn't seem, because he's worried about it and is so focused on trying
diaphragm,
to get that through.
that's a big word. I have to look it up.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. It was just hard to listen to for me.
The problem with first of all, I'm going to confess I didn't watch it already because of that reason, and I'm glad I didn't, because you just confirmed my reasons for not wanting to watch it. Was I thought it was going to be a train wreck. Now maybe it wasn't a train wreck, but one thing that people seem to forget is that when you do an acoustic set, you're more exposed than you ever are when you're playing with an electrical band. Your voice is right out there for every little crack and breath, and everything that you do is right there. When you're playing with a loud screaming band, you can get away with a crack here and there.
Exactly.
You can pull back a bit and people don't hear as much of it or whatever. But when you have a mic like that and just an acoustic guitar, every mistake, that's why they always say, if you're going to do an acoustic set, you better be ready and you better know your material. Like when they did the KISS Unplugged.
KISS Unplugged,
The reason why that was so good is because they were prepared, they were well practiced, they were in top form vocally, and that's why it came out stellar.
Revenge era, you know?
Yeah, and that's something I forgot to mention. Yeah, you just hit it right there, Mark, about the acousticness and being acoustic. Because I was thinking when I was watching it, like, this would have went over better had they had done it electric, and with a drummer and the whole bit there louder, and it would have made it better than it was acoustically, because boy, it's just.
But Paul is some sort of megalomaniac, you know. He thinks somehow, even though he's sounding like, you know, not that good, in his mind he's the best, you know. He's like,
that's probably
he can't
true.
see it himself. I think he's deranged, you know. Can't see it himself.
I don't know if he's deranged, but he's not
sure.
seeing
You have to
the.
understand, it's my second language. It might seem a bit, you know, rude and so on, but that's just because it's my second language. But you know what I mean. You know, he's like.
I don't know if he goes back and watches his own videos of singing. I don't know if he could, see what's going on.
Crazy bad. Even though there was one song I liked, and that was when he brought on, you know, the singer from the Ted Nugent band, St. James. Is it called?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's a great singer, you know. Stranglehold. That's James singing that one, singing the hell out of that song, and he still got it. And their performance was, you know, it was kind of cool, but other than that, I didn't like that performance. And just sort of feel sorry for the people paying good money to see that.
I think they had to pay extra money for that one. I think, from what I understand.
It's KISS, you know.
It's really odd that and I mean. The whole megalomania thing is like, I think that every singer has to have a certain degree of ego to believe that they're good to do it. But I mean, I think Daniel's 100% correct, is that I think his ego has gone a little too far. Like, it's almost like he has blinders on, like he can't even take it. And Eddie Trunk said the other day that, you know, Paul Stanley is a man who can't take criticism. He's a very touchy man. As soon as you give him criticism, you're cut out of his life, and that's you know.
Yeah, and exactly. So, that is a tough one. So, I guess to go on.
You know, reading Paul Stanley's book, you understand that he's kind of broken. You know, since the early years, he never came back from being bullied and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's just some there.
That's we all know people who are like that, you know.
Yeah. So.
But they didn't become the biggest band in the world. Those guys.
That's right.
Really interesting when you have such a guy at the top of the world, you know, at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they should have thought about it and maybe done electric. It would have went over better, in my opinion. Would have saved it, that performance.
Speaking of electric, don't you think we should talk about that electric set?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, that one.
So, KISS Electric, they play 2 shows, and there's a night 1 and night 2. And this is another show where we hope to see some rare songs or songs they haven't played before live and that sort of thing. So I don't know if anyone's seen some of these, but let me go. Yeah, let me go down the list of night 1 at least first. The night 1 set list. They started off with Tomorrow and Tonight, and then they went into Sweet Pain. You got Shout It Out Loud, I Love It Loud, Flaming Youth, Hot and Cold, Say Yeah, War Machine, Is That You, Cold Gin, Lick It Up, Black Diamond, Detroit Rock City, Rock 'Em All Night, and they finished with I.
That was great.
So, yeah, from my standpoint, it's a pretty good set list, actually. Not bad. Especially Tomorrow and Tonight was just a total. I don't think anyone was looking or expecting that, first of all,
Left field.
or even asking for that song, even though it's not a Kiss like favorite of, I don't think, Kiss fans, but it's there. It's not a bad song, and actually worked. It was pretty darn good. So to me, the standouts were, of course, Tomorrow and Tonight, Sweet Pain, which I've always liked as a song anyway. I thought they did a pretty good job of that. And then we know Flaming Youth has been more recent. They pulled that out last year, but it's still good. And then Hot and Cold off of Sonic Boom, which is another one that they haven't done. Then Is That You from Unmasked, which
Real surprise.
they may have done only. Did they do it on the Unmasked tour? That's it.
Yeah.
I think
That's it.
That's it. And then I is another one, which we've heard them do that, I think, before. But that's a big deal.
I think it was kind of cool that they played Rock and Roll All Night, and then they added I, because at the first show, people must have thought, well, this is it, and then they start I. I think that was a cool setup,
Yeah. So what do you
Definitely.
what do you guys think about those songs or that set list?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The whole I thing was a definite surprise, and so surprising that I have to give a shout out to our fellow podcaster, Mr. Alex Bagman. There,
Swedish guy.
Alex there was telling me that he was so excited that they played that. I mean, I remember he messaged me, Alex. Yeah, he messaged me in the middle of the night. He's like, "Hey, Mark, they played I can't believe it!" Like, he was so excited. I thought Alex was, that was an example to me of a Kiss fan that is still really excited about the music and really excited about the group. And when they play something like that, he got really excited about it. So while sometimes we sit here and we complain and bitch about stuff, there are still people like Alex, thank God, that's out there that's still excited about these things and who maybe isn't as jaded about some of it as maybe we are. But
he's a young
but
fan.
I think Alex is young, right? So but Sweet Pain, for example, I think is a prime example of a song that they should think about, an example of a song that they should think about doing in all of their sets, because they played it well, it sounded good, and Gene can still sing it really well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? When you pull out a song like this where Gene has the opportunity to sing, it makes their set list stronger, I think. Because sometimes when you have to pull out a song like, when they pull out Is That You, while it was good and it's a great song, we didn't get to hear it, I don't think that he sung it as good as he could have sung it. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas Gene had the opportunity to do a rare track and he just nailed it.
Yeah.
The thing is, every odd Gene song played live will sound great. Every deep cut from Paul Stanley will not sound as great. That's just fact, But I think they did what they could do, Paul Stanley brought a few deep tracks, Gene as well, and we all know Paul's problems. But, you can't expect more from him these days.
Yeah.
So I think as a whole, the set list was awesome. I think they did a good job. And they also managed to balance deep tracks with the classics in a good way. So I think the fans seeing those shows are, they were really, they felt good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was to me is a pretty darn good set list, though maybe they could have added a couple more songs. That's all.
A little bit.
Say.
They played it a little bit safe, I'd say. Yeah.
I mean, the like Hot and Cold, for example, was a song I did not expect to hear on there.
Yeah,
No one did.
Yeah, and I was glad to hear it because it's something that we don't get to hear often, if at all. So it's something that you can pull out, and that's one last thing that KISS fans can say that they didn't play, right? So they played it, right? I mean, they played lots of times, but it's not a very often played song in the grand scheme of everything, right? But then you're right, Ken. I mean, for example, they played "Lick It Up," they played "Cold Gin." These are songs we've heard 100,000 times. Same with War Machine. Why couldn't they have done "Naked City," for example, instead of War Machine?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a bit,
I mean-
a little bit lazy. I would say.
Naked City
Yeah.
would be, yeah.
But that
Tell me about it.
might be we die hard Kiss fans. We are a little bit picky, but I think they didn't bring Black Diamond, Detroit Rock City, and Rock and Roll Night. It's hard to play a show leaving those
Yeah.
cracks of it. So you need those ones. But Lick It Up and Cold Gin, you could play any other song of those.
Yeah.
You know what? This is an interesting thing that you brought up, though, Daniel. I got to ask you guys this, though.
Yeah.
Okay, Black Diamond and Detroit Rock City are two songs that I have still not gotten sick of hearing them play live. I love
True.
those two songs, and I want to hear them all the time.
Right.
Is that the same for you guys?
Yeah. Especially Black Diamond
Yeah.
for me.
And then Rock and Roll Night, I can't really stand anymore, but I have to hear it because if they don't play it, it feels kind of strange.
Yeah, I agree, because, I mean, out of those three, I think Rock and Roll Night would be the one song I wouldn't mind if they left off. I would rather hear the other two. But I understand the reason for playing it, because they're still going to have those people, like, for example, the husband that brings his wife for the first time on the cruise, who might only know that
one
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Exactly.
what
Yeah, I understand that. If you look at this set list, I think about 6 of the songs are technically anthems. Think about it. So you got Toronto Tonight, which I consider kind of an anthem. That was the way it's written. It was an anthem. Shout It Out Loud is another one. I Love It Loud would be another one. Say Yeah, I think is somewhat anthem. And then you got Rock and Roll Night and I.
But
Both
the
of those
problem
anthems.
is they don't have anything from Lick It Up to Carnival of Souls, do they?
Just look it up.
Just look it up.
Yeah, I forgot that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, leave that one out, and they don't have anything from those years. So I think
Nothing from
that's
Revenge.
they could add something more from that era.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean,
I definitely think that they should, right? I mean,
Yeah,
even if it's
Those
just
are
one
good
song.
yeah.
yeah.
Pick
So
anything from Asylum, and the fans would go crazy.
yeah.
It would sound good.
So yeah,
At least if you pick a G.
we can complain all we want, but it was a pretty
Yeah,
good set list and a good mixture of pulling some songs in there that we didn't expect to hear.
Yeah.
So I think they got a pretty good show. So let's go to night 2. Night 2 is basically the same set list, except they took out Cold Gin and then they added in 2 songs. They added in Hotter Than Hell and She. And to me, She is a big deal for me. I love She. I think that's a great song.
Me too.
And they didn't play that one enough. I know they haven't played it in probably since I don't know when, but maybe early 2000s. I think the Rock the Nation tour. They played She when I saw them there. But yeah, Hotter Than Hell. Yeah, we've heard that on and off. But I think that's a good. I mean, taking Cold Gin out and putting in those 2 songs was fine. I don't see a problem with that. What do you think?
I'd say She. Listening to She back in '95. Do you remember that tour they did of Japan when they did She?
Mm-hmm.
Then it was a real deep track, and it sounded awesome. It was maybe one of the best performances ever. If you look at Nagoya '95 or Tokyo '95, they're up there on YouTube. Go listen to She. That's the way it's supposed to sound. So that's a good track, and just the ending of the sound when they are just like mangling out the finish,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great stuff, So that's a great song. Hotter Than Hell, we've heard that a few times, but it's a good addition. But still, you're missing the whole non-makeup era in this show almost. I mean, is it Lick It Up? That's the only song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have put in Fits Like a Glove, right, Daniel?
So that's why Kiss fans go crazy when Bruce Kulick and Bob Kulick play stuff from the non-makeup Kiss era, because there's a lot of great songs from that era.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
15 should understand that by now, but they don't.
Yeah, and I venture to say, I could be wrong about this, but I think that the audience that goes to these cruises are probably more familiar or were, into KISS during that 80s period than there are 70s people. I think right now that there's probably a lot of people who are going to cruises who are of that age that were into the 80s stuff, right? So that's why I think it went over so well, right? I mean, people who were into KISS and were teenagers in the 70s, I mean...
They're dead now!
they're gonna...
They're gonna be dead, I'm just a zombie.
You're one of the few survivors dead.
I just think that there's more people that are maybe in that age bracket, that's all. Like I said, I could be wrong, right? But, I think it's interesting, though, that the reaction was so strong for the Kulick brothers that I think... Now, I hope I'm right about this. I hope that Gene and Paul took notice of that, of how strong that reaction was.
I
won't.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm afraid, Paul, and this is how it's best.
Gene says to Paul, "Man, can't you sing a few of the Crazy Nights tunes?" Hell no.
Yeah, but this is how I think what's going on here is like Paul would see that and he might take it wrong, or like Bob and Bruce, they tried to upstage us, with doing these other songs. It's like I could just only imagine, instead of thinking that, oh shoot, maybe I should get my button gear and maybe we should try something different. And I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, they're talking about taking the year off, or at least Gene says they're taking the year off from touring, and I don't know, maybe they'll still have a spot show here and there in the casinos. I don't know. Again, you never know with KISS, but it could be that they are taking a year off to plan one final big 2019 to 2020 finish it, end it all tour. That's my thought. But if they take next year off, maybe they'll put one more album out. Maybe they'll record during that time period. That would be nice. Yeah. Can Paul sing on it? Well, they could fix it, I guess, in the studio.
Yeah, they have Pro Tools.
So, there's a lot of crappy top 40 singers out there. I know they're horrible singers because when you see them on a live show, they can't sing worth a dime. But that's like, well, how do they sound so good on the record? But then you watch them live, it's like, holy crap, they really can't sing. It's all fixed.
To be honest about Paul. Paul can sing partially,
Yeah.
At times you hear, oh, that's like Paul Stanley in 1985, and then, no, that sounds crazy. So when recording an album, surely it would sound
And
good.
I wouldn't mind that if they fix it.
You have to pick out the stuff that sounds great and remove the stuff that don't sound great, and then, fix it. He still can do it, but not all the time.
But that's the great thing about studio, is that you're afforded that luxury. If you can go in, you can sing it 7, 8, 9 times and compile a really good version of the singing using that. Yeah.
79 times.
They used to do that with guitar solos too,
Yeah. So, they used to do that all the time.
So.
But I mean, one other thing though that I'm not sure if any of you guys have sort of heard anything about. The one thing that I was curious about, and I know it was mentioned on the board a couple of times, was what's the deal with Michael James Jackson? He was supposed to be on the cruise. Did he say anything?
Did you see my
post?
post?
Posted something on Facebook, I saw.
No, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, Bruce posted something.
He said he did a session out, but I haven't heard what the questions were to him and what his answers were. I'm still waiting to see that. Someone, I'm sure, took a video of this, and it'll probably end up on YouTube eventually. But one second. Well, I had put a post out on the board saying any news about that Michael James Jackson deal, and no one responded. I was like, what the heck? Where is this guy?
But what I saw on Facebook was that Julian said, what about Michael James Jackson?
Yeah, he said the same thing.
And then Bruce answered like, well, he's kind of a reclusive, but he gave some great details on the cruise.
Yeah, so
So it
Yeah,
must
where?
I'm waiting to see that or hear that information, either on the board or in the actual video that was hopefully recorded. That I think he's probably was on there. It must have been him and what's the maybe John Hart or whoever or Lady Chris.
Big John Hart.
Was out there on the same set, same little question and answer session.
But yeah, and people were asking about where he was too. They're saying, where was Big John Hart? And there's no comments about him either, right?
So yeah, it'll come up. I'm guessing soon, and we'll see what all went down there.
And since we're talking about these sort of things that are related to the KISS Kruise as well,
Yeah,
I heard or read on the board somewhere that somebody said that Sophie Simmons performed as well
I heard that
on there, and apparently that she went over really well. Did anybody hear anything about that?
I heard the same thing as you. That someone said that it went, that she did a pretty darn good performance. Which not, yeah. I mean, I've heard her sing. And she's not a bad singer. So
She's probably a great singer, but who really cares? You know,
Jeez.
we're into KISS. I'm not into, Gene Simmons' daughters or Paul Stanley's sons. We're into KISS. I think it's nice of them to bringing their, sons and daughters on the cruise. But in reality, who really cares about them? But I know they get some exposure, but I really don't care what Gene Simmons' daughters sound like. I'd rather have her off the boat.
Off
There you
the
go.
boat, get her off the boat.
That was worth worth asking just for that response.
Okay. All right. Well, any other final thoughts before we wrap this show up here?
Well, we just have to say that the KISS Cruise is such a great thing,
It is
For the
good.
diehards, being able to listen to deep tracks, enjoying. But I think the most important thing on these KISS Cruises have to be that KISS fans, the real diehards,
They can meet each other.
enjoy
too.
each others.
All
Exactly.
fans.
Getting together around the band, and the band, we all know they don't sound that like the way they did once. But the KISS Army, nowadays, that is the main thing, getting into the band, talking about your history with the band, that's the thing these days. We all know the band, they don't sound the way they sounded, but the fans sharing memories, talking old war stories, that's really interesting and important.
Yeah, I think that's 100% correct, because kind of like how the Nashville Rock and Pod convention was, how we all got to get together and talk about stuff and exchange stories. That was mainly the thing that made it so fantastic, was meeting all the different podcasters, and that's probably the same thing how it is for the KISS Cruise. People who only get to talk sometimes on Facebook or messengers to each other can finally meet each other face to face, go out for dinner together and talk and spend time and just talk about your favorite band and have a great time. Some people even go and bring records and exchange them on the cruise with each other, right?
Yeah, right. So, all right. Well, the only thing that I want to say about the KISS Kruise, I think it's still a cool thing. Though it's kind of expensive, and so that's the only reason I'm not, doing it. But the deal is, I hadn't heard anything about. Usually, at the end of each show or that KISS has done, they usually say, or Paul Stanley says, "We'll see you next year on KISS Cruise, 8 or something." I haven't heard anything about that. No mention about 8. So
Oh my!
I'm kind of wondering that maybe this could be. Is this the last cruise? Maybe not. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So that's it. So that's it for our show this week. And I guess Julian didn't make it. Unfortunately, we were hoping he'd be able to get his thoughts on the KISS Cruise and what the songs and all that stuff. But us three are here. We're taking over. So thanks for joining us, and you can catch us on YouTube and Spreaker and iTunes and all the others outlets out there. And if you have some thoughts
Comments
on it, or on this episode and on about the cruise, or if you did attend a cruise and have some comments about it all, then maybe we got some stuff wrong. I don't know. But please post them out on the board.
No way.
So once again, from Mark and Daniel and Ken, thanks for listening. See you next time.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.